Life is expensive. Tools don't have to.
Tools are always expensive.
Oh, I know.
Cheap tools are even more expensive.
Sure, because you got to keep buying them, man. That's what I...
Astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
Are you ready? Debate fans, are you ready? For the handful in attendance and the thousands watching across the world, brought to you tonight by Jerranism, the #1 YouTube channel in all of existence. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Make sure your argument is tight. Baby, what? You must got proof if you so right. Baby, what? Don't get dismissed on false claims, cause you gotta bring the truths and the facts. It don't matter if you're talking about racism, sexism, scientism, paganism, socialism, communism. Talk about capitalism, atheism, globalism. What about creationism? It don't matter what there is. I'm live on Debatism.
Are you ready? It's time for another Debatism, episode number 19, I believe. Let me get the thumbnail up so I can actually get that right. Yeah, episode number 19. We've got Brenda debates going against Sovereign Soul, Unchained Mind, and I don't know why that is the thumbnail before his text got put on top of it. Anyway, it's nonetheless, that's the wrong thumbnail. I'll get the right one here up there in a second. Hopefully that's not the one that's on the video. I don't know. I'll have to check that one out. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hopefully you guys are doing well. We are doing well here. Let's say hello to everybody. We've got both these guys on, and let's see here. There we go. All right, let's start with Brenda. Brenda, go ahead and say hello to everybody, and we will get going. Who are you? Where they can find you, all that fun stuff.
Good evening. My name is Brenda, and I have a piss poor YouTube channel called Brenda Debates. Maybe I'll start making some actual videos, but for right now, there's not much there.
All right. Well, thank you. We're happy we're here. And you've got your opponent is going to be Dave. Dave, it's your first time on the show. Welcome. Our first time really talking. So nice to finally meet you.
Muted. He's muted.
Oh, you're muted. I'm sorry. I had to mute you both during the intro. You were talking about tools for some reason or something. I don't know. And Dave, go ahead. Sovereign Soul, Unchained Mind. He's got a YouTube channel. Go ahead and say hello to everybody where they can find you.
Oh, hey. Okay, there we go. Good to be here, Jaron. Thanks for having me on. You can find me at Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind, or you can use the at SSUM3690 to find my channel. I'm also on Rumble at SSUM369. I have on both the channels, I talk about a wide variety of things, pretty much how You are influenced, embedded, and brainwashed from an early age all the way up through adulthood. And I try to break people away from this paradigm of thinking in order for them to be able to think for themselves. We say that we brainwash people into thinking for themselves. We cover a lot of flat earth topics, Mandela effects, subliminal messaging, all kinds of things like that. So
awesome. We are happy that you're here. And the topic for tonight is the shape of the earth. And we're going to see who goes first. We'll let Dave call it since he is first timer here. You want heads or tails? Let me move that so you can see it. There we go. Heads or tails?
Tails.
Tails is the call, and it is heads. Do you want to go first or second, Brenda?
He is new, so he can go first.
Sounds good. All right, we got 3 minutes on the clock let me get this off there. 3 minutes for your intro, and we'll cover the layout as soon as both intros are done. So we got 3 minutes each, and it begins when you are ready.
Okay. So I would like to start out by saying that by all observation and experiments, we find that the Earth to be a topographical level stationary plane contained within a dynamic fluid pressure system. We see absolutely no evidence of any curvature, and we absolutely see no evidence of any movement. Now, one of the biggest things is that in order for people to believe this globe, it had to be embedded into your mind at a very, very young age. And what they did was they glossed over all of the fundamental basic flaws to get you to accept it, and then just stacked upon it. What I mean by that, when you're a child, you don't have much critical thinking. You don't think to ask, how do we have air pressure without containment, which we know later on through experience and also through actual knowledge, not education, that this is, of course, an impossible condition. The idea of water conforming to any kind of a shape is also another ridiculous idea. This would require molecular bonding, especially like with gases. Gases do not assume shapes. Gases are a fluid. So these two things, and when I went back and started looking, I grew up a globe fanatic. I mean, I was all about space and Star Trek and everything else. My dad, he was into the scientism. I read Isaac Asimov, Carl Sagan, and all the rest of the fantastical philosophers of this philosophy of a solar system. I truly believed it. When I first got hit with anything about flat Earth, I went, oh, no way, man, I'm going to debunk this. But the only way I can really do this, I need to look at both sides critically. And so to do that, I had to start from square one, and that's where I started finding the problems. And one of the biggest ones is the excuse of gravity, an unproven idea that has yet to be actually proven, but is assumed and then prescribed or ascribed to other objects that we see in the sky. I furthermore think that looking at objects in the sky to determine the condition of where you're standing looking at it is as ridiculous as me checking the chlorine level of my swimming pool to determine if I have enough coolant in my car. One has absolutely, literally nothing to do with the other at all when you're talking about the condition of where you're standing. Now, as far as movements in the sky, there are other explanations for some of these movements that we see. And so therefore, they're really not conclusive proof of a globe Earth, which I contend is scientifically impossible for those reasons alone of gas pressure.
Do you want an additional minute? You can take it if you want.
No, go ahead. I'm good.
Okay. We got Brenda up next with your 3 minutes. It starts when you want. You're on mute, Brenda. Sorry. Oops, what happened? Oh, you screen sharing? No, I see what's going on. Oh, are you screen sharing? Did you do that on purpose? Or I don't know if that's on accident.
It says it's sharing my screen.
Okay, I didn't know that you were doing that. That's all. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Go ahead. We're ready.
Yeah. So this is run at the beginning of Globebusters. We accept the reality of the world with which we are presented. It's as simple as that. This is, of course, a fallacy. It is assuming the fallacy of begging the question. It's what is called Sellers called the myth of the given. There is no such thing as reality being simply given to us, and that we accept that that's what reality is. That is just not how knowledge works. It's not how philosophy works or epistemology work. We come to knowledge through a justification, through reason. So we have knowledge is a justified true belief. It is not simply pointing and declaring. This is just point and declare. It is a logical fallacy. To date, no flat earther has ever debunked or falsified a single globe claim, nor have they presented a single shred of evidence that is positive evidence for the proposition that the earth is flat. No such evidence is ever given. Flat earthers want to debate the globe. They want to debate relativity. They want to debate gravity, but they don't want to debate geometry. Gravity, we could live in a universe without gravity, and the earth could be flat or it could be round. Gravity has no logical necessary connection to the geometry of the earth. Relativity has no logical necessary connection to our particular universe. We could logically exist in a universe where relativity is false, and the earth could still be a globe. So relativity, quantum mechanics, and gravity could all be false, and we could still be in either on a globe or a flat earth, because these are not logically connected. It is in our universe deemed typically nomologically necessary that given the mass of the earth, that it would necessarily form a sphere, but that's not a logical connection, that's nomological. So someday, some flat earther will present evidence. It will not show that the earth is flat because it isn't. I'm done.
Okay. Sounds
All
good.
right.
Let me bring you back over here. Okay, thank you very much for that. And sorry for the screen scripts, but we fixed it eventually. Let's see here. I don't know why that share screen's acting weird. Let's move this over. Okay, let's go. All right, so let's go with the next step is going to be your questions. Basically, we ask 3 questions each, about a minute apiece, just to get to know each other or answer some questions that you might have. So, Dave, you're going to go first. Do you have a question for Brenda?
Is this regarding what she just now said?
Well, you can make it about that, or you can make it about anything that you want. Just
it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be my introduction. You can go with whatever you had prepared.
Okay, cool.
It's up to you. So,
can you demonstrate a gas pressure system without containment? As nowhere else in nature does this ever exist. So can you demonstrate this in a repeatable, demonstrable experimentation that you can have this condition that would otherwise be impossible?
The argument that can you state the argument that gas must be contained?
Yes.
Pressure?
For there to be pressure, due to the definition of pressure, the act of pressing, something has to be there. Okay, because gas, as I discussed earlier, they're not bonded. Gas molecules are not bonded. They are going to spread out to fill the empty space. Okay, and they're going to become thinner and thinner and thinner and dissipate. And even according to some of the science that I read when I was really into it, that it's estimated that there's like 1 atom of hydrogen per cubic meter in space. Now that's on average.
But what is the argument? What is the argument that gas necessarily must, in order for there to be pressure, there must be containment?
Because it's what's causing the pressure. There's no pressure without containment of a gas.
That's just, you're just repeating the claim.
No, I'm not. It is. I mean, it just is. I mean, what do you mean? If there can be gas pressure without containment, can you demonstrate such a condition?
Yeah, that would be atmospheric pressure. Yes.
No, I'm not. So wait a second, hold on. So you're saying the only existence of this impossible condition is the atmosphere itself. Now you've already put a thing in there because you're giving gas a shape. Does gas have a shape?
It will take whatever shape the force is acting on it, put it to.
What force is acting on it?
Any force.
What force is acting on the atmos?
The apparent force of gravity.
The apparent force of gravity. Can you tell me the downward acceleration of gravity of air due to gravity?
Yeah, it's about 9.8 meters per second per second.
Can you demonstrate this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How? Demonstrate air having a downward acceleration due to gravity.
Yeah, we can. Galileo, in his experiments on an inclined plane, demonstrated that there is an apparent force of downward acceleration of 9.8 meters per second. He rolled objects down an inclined plane, made numerous runs, and came up with 9.8 meters per second. He also demonstrated that.
But that's not air. How did he roll air down?
Air has mass.
Air has mass, but air is not bonded. Air molecules are not bonded.
That's correct. They're not bonded.
Okay, so then what you have to do is you have to demonstrate air having a downward acceleration. You can claim it. You can claim it all you want to, but you have to demonstrate that in order for it to be true, because we do not see a downward acceleration of air.
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't. All we have to do is change temperature. All we have to do is change the temperature and the composition of the atmos. I know you guys love your gradient and everything, but you're totally not taking into context Dalton's law or Boyle's law.
Air has mass. We can weigh it.
Okay.
Right? Just the same way we weigh anything. You put it into, say, for instance, a canister, and the canister weighs more. Just like if you go to the grocery store and you buy peanut butter, you take an empty container, put the peanut butter in there, and the difference is you hit tare, and the difference is the weight of the peanut butter. You can do the same thing with a canister holding oxygen.
Let's go back to the question real quick, and we'll move on to the next one. And you can bring this up in the 15 minutes later. But so the question was, can you demonstrate an example of that? And yours was the atmosphere was the answer.
The atmosphere of the Earth, of Jupiter, of Mars, of Venus, of Uranus, of Neptune.
Okay.
Right. There's several planets that have atmospheres, and there is no container surrounding them.
Okay, gotcha. Your first question for Dave.
So how do you derive the 1 degree per 60 nautical miles, given that the Earth is flat, for a nautical mile? Nautical miles are defined as 1 degree per 60 nautical miles. If the Earth is flat, how do you derive that?
And what are you basing that increase in? What is that due to? What, stellar navigation?
On the globe, nautical degrees, nautical on a globe, nautical miles are defined as degrees from Polaris, right?
Okay.
We measure degrees from Polaris, and that's 1 nautical mile per degree from Polaris, right? But on a flat Earth, that doesn't work because because it's a different relation.
Why is it a different relation?
Because flat versus curved will yield different distances.
So, what medium are you viewing these stars through?
The air.
Yeah, but I mean, what medium are they in?
Don't know. It isn't relevant.
It doesn't matter. What if it was liquid? Would it matter?
Not really.
It wouldn't?
No.
So you don't think maybe perhaps even a curved lens, like maybe a firmament, and a liquid medium can falsify the position of something based on your angle of view?
Is that your hypothesis then?
No, it's not a hypothesis. I can show you right now that it will. You want to see? I can show you right now that it will. All right. Hang on one sec. Let me back up here to this. And where's my...
the reason that I said it won't make much difference is because at higher angles of elevation, the amount of refraction is not very significant.
Okay, so I'm going to show you something that happens through a liquid medium with a curved lens. Okay. Yeah,
you're proposing that there's a curved lens between my eye and...
I'm saying it's a possibility. We don't know. We don't know because as I've already stated, and this is going to be not just my hypothesis, but it's a fact that there has to be some kind of containment in order for us to have air.
Now, you haven't shown that.
Watch the position of this guy.
Yeah, I know. This is due to refraction.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's little refraction.
Viewing. Hold on. If I was...
You're not uniting.
Watch when he gets right in front of him.
Yeah, I understand. I understand it. Okay. Looks freaky. I understand that.
There we go.
Right.
There we go.
Right. So this is
what I'm saying.
Is 90. This is 90 degrees.
No, is listen. Hold on. What I'm saying is this: is that right there he's there at 90 degrees, but as we move away, we see that there's more and more deviation as we move away. Correct? Okay. So as we view it from an angle, we get more and more deviation. Now, I'm not saying this is what is exactly happening. What I am saying is that without absolutely knowing, we could, this is an absolute possibility. Okay?
Well, then you have a hypothesis then that there is a solid barrier and water above that solid barrier.
Possibility, yeah.
Well, it's necessary, I think, for what you're saying, right? It's
or
not
a
just possible,
superfluid.
it's necessary.
Some kind of a superfluid. I don't know. Yeah. We have to get there to know.
Yeah. So we see no evidence of that. And so until you have evidence to support your hypothesis, I can reject it.
Well, we don't really. How do we know what's above the containment?
Well, it doesn't matter. You don't have any evidence to support your hypothesis.
I don't have any evidence that would suggest that it's not, though, either. We're at the point right now, if nobody can go there and check, we can look at a number of possibilities. Is that correct or no?
Well, of course, people have been there and are there.
No, they're not.
Literally. Yeah.
No, they're not.
They're there right now.
Then how did you get past the container?
There isn't one.
There has to be.
No, but why isn't there one then?
There is.
Obviously,
there has
the ISS
to be.
is up there.
Brenda, then you have to demonstrate a gas pressure system without containment and not point at the very thing in question. You have to actually demonstrate that that you can actually have gravity, that your gravity that you postulate can actually prevent the equalization of pressurized gases. Pressurized gases, of course, requiring containment in order to be pressurized.
That's because it takes energy for a molecule of gas to gain altitude.
No, it doesn't. It just keeps going. Gas behavior doesn't go like gas keeps going.
There's no law in physics that says that.
Yes, Boyle's law.
That Boyle's law doesn't say that a gas molecule must necessarily continue going in a straight line.
Can you demonstrate through repeatable and demonstrable experimentation that gravity can prevent the equalization of pressurized gases? Yes or no?
Yes. Gravity. Okay. Yeah. Gravity acts on objects with mass. Air has mass. Therefore, air will be affected by gravity, and it will lose its kinetic energy as it gains altitude.
That's a postulation, not a demonstration.
That's a logical argument.
It's a postulation. It is not a demonstration.
No, it's a logical argument that is necessarily true if the premises are true.
Okay, so Dave, we're going to get ready for question number 2. It's going great so far, guys. Hopefully you're having a good time. We've got the debate format up real quick. So we did the welcome, we did the intros. We're in the middle of the questions. They'll each ask 3 questions. They've each asked 1. Then we'll go to claims, 4 claims, 2 minutes each. And we've got then an open conversation there towards the end. If you want to ask either a question, you can do so via Super Chat, either through YouTube or Rockfin. You can send a tip. And if you notice that I let the time go sometimes for longer, it's because I do encourage a good conversation. So if I ever feel like they're in the middle of something that is not needing to be interrupted, I do let that go, because I think that's the whole goal. That's the point, is that we want a conversation that's going somewhere, that's getting somewhere. And then as soon as they start going back and forth where it's just going to be the basic two different sides, then I'll interrupt. So just so you know, the clock is more of a guideline than a absolute.
Right.
All right, let's go to Dave's question number 2.
Prove gravity. Can you actually prove gravity? And against the principles of buoyancy and density?
Well, buoyancy assumes gravity exists.
It assumes, but is an assumption a fact?
It assumes a given fact. So no, it's not technically a fact. So buoyancy, I wouldn't appeal to buoyancy to prove gravity.
But wait a minute. What were you?
I would point back to
it assumes a given fact. How do you assume a fact? If it's a fact, it's not an assumption, correct?
A hypothesis is if A, then B, right? So if gravity is real, if gravity exists, then buoyancy, which and the formula for buoyancy would apply to objects like, say, in floating in water. They're buoyant because of that. That would be a hypothesis, which we would check through experiment. You asked me about gravity, though, not buoyancy.
All right.
My argument for gravity is, again, to go back to Galileo. I think that people have beaten Cavendish to death. They should go to Galileo. Galileo conducted several experiments. These are experiments that I conducted when I was in high school. You roll objects down an inclined plane, you time them, and you use different materials, and you find that all materials accelerate at the same rate of acceleration. And this implies the hypothesis that there exists an apparent force of gravity acting on objects with mass in a downward direction, right? So that is the evidence of the phenomenon we call gravity. It is an observed phenomenon. Galileo also disproved relative density with his thought experiment of 2 cannonballs that are connected with a chain. One was a 10-pound cannonball, one a 1-pound cannonball connected with a chain. And he showed that there's a logical fallacy involved in assuming relative density, right? You can check on that. You can look that up more. But that is a logical argument that refutes relative density. So gravity is an observed phenomenon. Anybody can conduct it on their kitchen table. That you simply time the acceleration of various objects as they fall down an inclined plane.
Okay. So there's a lot of assumptions involved there, because you're only giving a measured effect, right? Which I believe that they state is the 9.81 meters per second.
Yeah, it's an observation. It's an observation of a phenomenon.
But what is the cause? Now, it's interesting that you brought up.
We don't know. We just hypothesize that there exists this force called gravity that acts on all objects with mass, and it's a consequence of our observations.
So it's funny that you bring up Galileo. Have you ever seen one of these, Brenda? Can you see what I'm holding up?
Yeah, I have. It's a clock. Is that a clock?
No. It's
barometer.
It's a Galileo thermometer, and it works off of different fluids. Listen to me. It works off of different fluids inside these little globes inside here, and each one has a little tag on it. And what happens is that due to temperature and the principles of buoyancy and density, what happens is whatever temperature the room is at is where this middle globe will show up at. That floats in here. This thing will tell you pretty accurate the temperature of any room that you've got it in, and it all works off of the principles of buoyancy and density. Now, when we say that buoyancy and density, we also have to consider that there's mediums involved. Okay.
So what is the purpose of bringing that up?
the purpose that I bring that up is the very guy that you're saying is rolling things down an inclined plane was also very well aware of the principles of buoyancy and density and how the medium in relation to the object within the medium is affected. Now, of course,
that's
temperature,
buoyancy. Buoyancy, the formula for buoyancy.
Right. So
so you're presupposing
disequilibrium.
You're presupposing the existence of gravity.
Wait a second, it's disequilibrium, right?
No, you're presupposing the existence of gravity because that's what buoyancy means.
No, I'm not. Where's gravity involved? Where's gravity involved in buoyancy?
It's literally in the formula for buoyancy.
Yeah, let's bring it up. Let's bring up the formula. Hold on, I have it right here. Just a second here. Let's see, buoyancy. Hold on, I just had it. Because that G is merely, I can change that G, you know. I can change that to, here we go, right here. So, oops, is that it? Can you see, is that, okay.
Yeah.
So that V, or that G, right, is 9.806 meters per second squared. Well, that's an effect. That's an observed effect. I don't dispute the observed effect.
Yeah, that's gravity.
No, that's an observed effect that you assume.
No, it's observed.
Caused by gravity.
I just told you it was observed.
It's observed, but that's only you're assuming the cause.
No, we're not assuming the cause.
You are. Prove the cause.
Galileo didn't know the cause. Neither did Newton.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't.
Hold up. Your own people.
Newton specifically said he didn't know the cause. He had no theory about the cause. He literally said that.
Where is this? Hang on. Is this the one? Here we go.
Right. So you're just.
So I'm going to bring up. I just want to bring up a quote.
You can change the letter. You can change the letter G to any letter in the alphabet you want.
Yeah, but it could be an A for acceleration. It doesn't matter. An observed effect is not a cause, Brenda. Okay. Do you see what I have up here?
It's the acceleration is the cause of buoyancy.
I don't think you're sharing, Dave.
Okay.
You're not sharing.
Hold on. Where'd I go here?
The acceleration is the cause of buoyancy.
Oh, that's why. Okay, there we go.
You understand that?
So these guys, listen, is this the one? Both Copernicus himself, who revived the theory of heathen philosophy. Is this the one that I was looking for? Or might not be. All right, look, no, let me just stop for a second.
Yeah, we're good, all right, in that one anyway, that question.
I'm fine.
But what I'm trying to get at is this, is that you're taking an observed effect. I don't disagree.
Yes.
I don't disagree, right? What's in contention is the cause of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm not contesting the cause. Galileo, no, I haven't made any kind of hypothesis about
well, that's what I'm trying to get at. What is the cause of that? I know what the effect is. Yes, it does matter. It does matter, especially if you're going to ascribe it to things and movements you see in the sky when you know nothing about these things in the sky. Mm-hmm. Okay? You cannot take something that you assume and then build an entire whole philosophical idea around it and call it science.
Yeah, we can. That's exactly how science works.
No, it's not.
It literally is.
Science is demonstrable, repeatable truths.
That we can demonstrably and repeatably demonstrate a downward acceleration, right? We call gravity.
No,
you call it something else, but it's still.
Okay, let's go. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's get to Brenda. Your second question.
We seem to be at loggerheads.
Yes, that's why we moved on. All right. Question number 2.
How do you derive the horizon dip correction on a flat Earth?
How do you derive the horizon dip correction on a flat Earth?
Yes, in celestial navigation, you have to correct for the dip to the horizon. Number one, flat earthers have a tendency to deny that the horizon is below your horizontal, but that is simply objectively false. There's a dip, and in celestial navigation, you have to correct for the dip to the horizon. How do you, on a flat Earth, justify making that dip correction?
Well, since we've always been on a flat Earth anyways, and you're assuming a curved sky means that there's a curved Earth,
No, I'm not.
I don't see where there would be anything different. We're still using the same objects in the sky. Again, objects in the sky do not prove the condition of where you're standing. Nothing about that.
They obviously do. They demonstrably.
No, they don't.
Do.
How do they prove that? Tell me this. How does looking at my neighbor's roof? How does looking at my neighbor's roof tell me anything about my floor?
That wouldn't apply.
It does apply. How does my ceiling? How does my ceiling tell me anything about my floor?
Celestial. The reason that we can infer a curved Earth from celestial objects is, say, for instance, the angle of altitude of, say, for instance, Polaris. It changes depending on the observer location, and according to different observers, it should, on a flat Earth, it should be at different heights. But an object
do you have
can't
a demonstration? Do you have like a graphic for this or something that you can tell?
An object can't be. You can just notice that. So, for instance, you can calculate the height of Polaris using simple trig from an observer to Polaris and counting the angle and the distance to the GP of Polaris, right? And you can calculate that height. And for different observers, that height will be different. But an object can't be in two different places at the same time.
You mean kind of like my demonstration in the pool that I just showed?
No.
No? Was there an apparent? Was there where he was appearing and where he was were two different places, weren't they?
If you're going to assume that there is a massive amount of refraction going on, then you would have to demonstrate that.
How do we know there's not?
That's not for us to prove. That's for you to prove.
Well, wait a second.
Your hypothesis.
Wait a second. You're taking fixed stars in the sky that we see all the time. We've used them to navigate with. That's a given. Okay, but we're still looking at lights in the ceiling to determine the condition of the floor. Does that make sense?
Yes,
it does. So if you're in a planetarium, does that mean your floor in the planetarium is curved?
No.
No? Why?
Because the planetarium image has been distorted in order to conform to the curved surface of the planetarium.
But it doesn't distort on me if I move around inside the planetarium. It's just like if I'm outside in a starry night.
Yeah, because you're literally underneath a dome.
Yeah.
Planetarium. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, then you need to show that. That's your hypothesis. You need to provide evidence.
Wait a second. No. You have the claim of a globe. I'm not buying it. Okay. This is where you go wrong. This is where you go wrong because you guys always want to prove negatives. Okay. You always want me. It's like this. Look, Brenda, if I said I can turn into a chicken, do you have to prove that I can't turn into a fucking chicken? No. I have to prove that I can turn into a chicken. So against all my observations of a level plane, my vestibular system, no sense of any kind of motion whatsoever, just looking at the sky to make me think I live on a ball makes sense?
Your positive claim is that there is a dome separating waters above and that the refractive index difference between them is causing
a positive claim. That's an alternate possibility. We don't know for sure. You don't know for sure either.
There is no evidence that such a thing exists, and therefore in the absence of evidence we can apply.
You want to know the evidence that it exists?
What?
I can give you the evidence that it exists.
Well, we can do that during the claims. Dave, question number 3.
All right.
Okay. I'm good enough. I'm okay with us moving on then.
Good.
Sure enough, man. So how far away is the sun and how can you prove this?
It's 93 million miles away and we can bounce radar signals off of it.
You can bounce radar off of a dark object? No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not dark. In
radar there's a thing called dark objects. Okay. They don't show up.
It's called a black body.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's the word you're looking for.
Okay.
I don't know about radar. But you can bounce radar off of the upper atmosphere of the sun. People have done that. There's papers been published. You can find it on mcmctoon.net/sun.
Listen,
Right?
don't even invoking that guy with me is like you might as well say Bozo the Clown. Sorry.
Well, that's just an ad hom. That's just an ad hom and a genetic
He's
fallacy.
not a good person. He's not a good person at all.
He's one of the most polite and respectful flat earthers out there.
Trying to understand. Let me make sure I understand this, right? So you're telling me that somewhere there's a radar that has a powerful enough transmitter and receiver, a big enough antenna. Wait a second. Let me finish.
I'm just nodding along. I'm just nodding along with you.
Okay, all right. It's very distracting.
I'm not trying to overtalk you, dude. I'm just trying to do the back and forth that people talk
Right,
like.
I got you. So this somehow they shot radar 93 million miles. It's 8.5 light minutes, right? So it shot 93 million miles an hour, somehow bounced off the sun, and this signal, you got to remember, this thing is attenuating all the way to the target, That means it's spreading out, it's thinning out. And then it bounces back and it comes back and it's still attenuating, okay, because it's a reflection. Now, meanwhile, this means that 17 minutes have passed. 17 minutes from the time you sent the signal to the time it comes back and you think you get your signal, right?
Yes.
The Earth has now moved.
Yes.
At 67,000 miles an hour, approximately, I think I figured it out, it was 18,000 miles it's moved since the signal was sent. How did they receive it?
Is your contention that they didn't receive it?
Yes, that's ridiculous.
Well, they encoded a signal in the radar signal, so why did they get the return signal?
Because it's fake, man.
How can it be faked if it?
How can you? Did you run it? Who ran the test? The very people that are trying to convince me that the sun is 93 million miles away. They've come. This is such an easy thing. Everybody says it's such an easy thing to calculate the distance to the sun and all this, right?
Well, you can do that with the moon too. Amateurs, I don't think amateurs could bounce something off the sun. Although Red's Rhetoric has measured the distance to the sun, but you can also bounce ham radio operators bounce radio signals off the moon all the time.
This is how easy it is right here. So
all you've said is you're just incredulous, right?
No, I'm just saying. Look. This is really sus. So we had Copernicus. He comes up with 3 million miles. Tycho Brahe, he figures 13 million. Then Kepler, he's good with 13 million. Newton, he says no, it's 28. And then second time he comes up, he's 54. Right, almost twice.
What's wrong with
Martin? I mean, look at all these different distances.
Yeah, but what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with it? Do you realize what in the world is going on? There's a progress in instruments and the progress in scientific knowledge, and then the fact that people get closer and closer to a given value is how science works. So would you agree that there's been an advancement since the abacus all the way up to the calculator, but for an accountant in any age to make that big of a discrepancy in the books would be ludicrous, wouldn't it?
Well, this isn't accounting. This is a measurement. This is a measurement based on instruments that have improved steadily over centuries.
What instruments?
Telescopes.
Telescopes. You can tell a distance from a telescope?
Yes, you triangulate.
Triangulate with what?
With Venus, typically. That's how
wouldn't you have to know how far away Venus is?
You can guesstimate all of these things. You can guess that Venus is approximately the same size as the Earth, and you can guess.
Why would you guess that? What if it's the same size as a fucking Volkswagen and it's a bunch closer?
Then it wouldn't work. But that's science works. Why science works by making guesses. Basically, they make guesses.
Science works through observations, hypothesis, experimentation, conclusions. That's how it works. You don't just go, I think that this happened, so therefore
that's literally how it works. I think this. A hypothesis is a guess. It can be a wild guess. It can be completely out of the blue. You can pull a guess for a hypothesis out of your butt, right?
That's what they did.
Yes.
Well, why are we treating it as fact?
Because they got better at it.
They got better at pulling shit out of their ass?
You make successive approximations, and over a period of time, they get better and better and better and better until the accuracy comes down. It starts getting into the decimal.
So they're just getting better at pulling stuff out of their ass.
The first guess can be, actually, that's how a lot of things work. You make a guess, and if you guess wrong, then you make another guess, and then you split the difference between the two, and you make a third guess. And as you go, your guessing becomes better and better. That's probability. The world, the universe.
That's how a squirrel finds acorns. They randomly dig around until they find one that they've buried. Okay.
Actually, they have really good memory.
Science, Brenda. That is not science.
Actually, squirrels have really good memory. So do birds. They have actually
question 3.
Memories.
Question 3. Your last question, Brenda.
Share screen. I'm going to share screen.
Sure.
All right. Here's from Professor Dave on debunking flat Earth without using science. This is the moon above the flat Earth. Multiple observers on the disk of the Earth would see the moon in different faces of the moon. However, nobody sees different faces of the moon, so it cannot be that the Earth is flat, right? This is the only way that the Earth could everyone on Earth can see the same face of the moon at the same time. It's just, this is the only geometric possibility, right? You have different observers on different sides of the Earth. If the moon is between them, one should see the front and the other should see the back. Nobody has ever seen the back of the moon from Earth. It has never happened. It must happen if the Earth is flat, but it has not happened.
What's the question?
How do you account for nobody seeing? How do you account for this? How do you account for nobody seeing the backside of the moon?
Thank you.
Okay, so what you're saying is, how come we've not seen any parallax in view of the moon in order to see like the side or the back or anything like that? Okay,
this isn't parallax. This is not what.
Well, it would be if I'm looking at it straight on right up here in the sky, and somebody over here in another country's looking up at it. They're going to see it, right?
They would see different,
a parallaxical view of it.
If Bob is between Jane and Alice, right? Mm-hmm. Jane can see his face and Alice can see the back of his head, right?
So we're assuming that, first off, that the moon is a sphere. Okay?
No, we know it's a sphere.
No, we don't know that at all.
You can see it. You can see it.
I can show you a bunch of shit that looks like a sphere that's not. You want me to do it? I can show you a whole bunch of different stuff.
We can see it rotate.
You don't ever see it rotate. You only ever see one side of it. You never see it move.
We see 55% of the moon. It's called lunar libration. It's due to the fact that the moon's revolution around the Earth isn't exactly 28 days.
Nobody sees anything different than the same face of the moon.
Showing that the moon must
wait a second. No, it doesn't show
away.
That at all. I'm about to explain to you something. Now, if we're going to look at the sky to determine the condition of where we're looking at it from, I could put a picture of the moon right up on my ceiling. Okay. I could put a picture of the moon right up on my ceiling. And if I go over to the west wall, I'm going to see it one way. If I go over to my east wall, I'm going to see it completely 180 degrees from that. All right. I'm going to see it exactly 100. Wait a second. I'm going to see it, and I'm only going to see the one side of it. Now, the thing that's perplexing about the moon being a sphere is that if I'm looking at it straight on, it's like zenith right over top of me, suppose. It's never going to be right over top of me because it never comes any further north than the Tropic of Cancer. But I'm looking a little bit south and I see it, and it's right there straight dead on south in front of me, right? And then somebody over here that's further
people in
west
People in Australia
Well,
see the moon.
somebody over further
flipped
west of me, for instance, should be able to see that thing and see more of one side of it and less of the side that I'm seeing. You see, if
So
it
your
was here,
hypothesis,
we
your
never see that.
hypothesis, so your hypothesis is that the moon is a two-dimensional image. Is that it?
I don't know what the moon is. It
Well,
behaves.
if it's two-dimensional, you would see an ellipse, but you never see an ellipse. You always see a circle.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, that's how geometry works. This is like
you're not taking into account the fact that we see in a 3D perspective and not into a two-dimensional Euclidean orthographic.
That's not going to change if the moon is a two-dimensional image. It must be an ellipse.
You're strawmanning me right off the bat because I just got done saying we have to know what the moon actually is.
So you can't account for why people see the same face of the moon everywhere on Earth.
I am accounting for it.
No,
I'm
you're
actually, that's an argument against it being a sphere. Your argument actually says that it's not a sphere because you don't see a side. You only see that face.
We say it's far away.
That face is either rotated one way or another to you. That is the only thing different that you see. You never see a side to it, like a guy over here sees more of one side than I see at the front. No, they don't.
It's far away, and we see 55%.
How far away is it, and how do you prove that?
You can measure it. You can time.
Go ahead. Tell me how you would do that.
Yeah, you can shoot microwaves at it or bounce ham radio signals off of it. We know how fast light travels, so you can time it.
Okay, let's get on to the claims. I'm going to stick to the clock a little bit more this time. So for claims, you've got 2 minutes to give a claim, back with evidence. Try not to interrupt while the other person's doing the claim. And then you'll get 1 minute of a rebuttal and then 1 minute to kind of close it out since you're the one who made the claim. So we've got Dave up first. Dave, a claim and evidence to back it. And you got 2 minutes. Go ahead.
I claim that I'm saying that the idea that people have known the Earth was a globe for like over 3,000 years is a bunch of hogwash because of some people came out and said, "Oh, look, we're philosophers and we think that the Earth is a globe and there's these planets flying around the sun and everything." They were a bunch of philosophers, and not the general public nor anybody else took them seriously. In fact, right here, even up into the 20th century, I want to bring this up. Let me share screen right here. And I think y'all should be able to see that. It says here that they were going to throw this guy in prison. This was in 1900, April 21st. And this was talking about the sad condition of affairs in England. Sir John Gorst accused of intention to teach false precepts. City of Portsmouth is excited. They took this guy to court, said that he had been teaching damnable and heretical doctrine that the Earth is a sphere. And they were actually going to have this guy taken out for teaching such heresy. Even up into this didn't really start to become a great big idea as far as the Earth being a globe, because it was contested even into the late 1800s.
What is that newspaper article evidence for?
That there's people that they were still flat Earth belief going on worldwide in the 20th century.
And how does that debunk the Greeks knowing that the Earth was a globe?
The Greeks didn't know. Some philosophers postulated that.
Yeah, but the newspaper article doesn't debunk that.
Wait a second. In 1900, they're going to put the head of a school district in prison for teaching the globe.
That doesn't prove that the Greeks didn't know that the Earth was a globe.
Wait a second. It doesn't prove your postulation that because a couple of philosophers said that they thought the Earth was a globe does not indicate that it was worldwide belief.
They had arguments.
Yeah, philosophers had arguments about it. Mainstream
science.
People did not
science is a branch. Science is a branch of natural philosophy.
Okay, you get a minute to rebut that. Go ahead. His claim.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we know that Aristotle and Pythagoras, and I think others, had arguments for why the Earth was a globe, and Eratosthenes merely measured the circumference of the Earth, he already had as an assumption that the Earth was a globe. And in fact, the Earth being a globe was taught in Plato's Academy for 400 years. It didn't stop until the Library of Alexandria was looted by Christians and sank Europe into the Dark Ages. And the fact that there's a newspaper showing a small town in England where people were ignorant and religiously indoctrinated, only sort of serves to point out that flat Earth is a religious belief. It has nothing to do with science. It's a result of religious fundamentalism and reaction to the Enlightenment.
Okay, time. You got a minute to close it out if you want, Dave.
Oh, so we know that
Dave.
Humans have known that the Earth was a globe for 2,600 years. The Greeks knew it; they taught it for 400 years. Flat Earth had resurgence because of fundamentalism, which was a reaction to the Enlightenment. It was a small groups of people don't prove that the Greeks didn't know that the Earth was a globe.
Okay, Dave, you got a minute. Close it out.
Okay, so Greeks, you use that like because there was a handful of these people, philosophers, at some philosophers' academy that were postulating such a ridiculous idea is not a proof of an entire culture believing that the Earth was a globe. Okay. In fact, a lot of people thought these people were just crazier than hell, hanging out in the bathhouse and talking about shit instead of doing things. That whole idea, that is Eratosthenes. I mean, did the guy even really exist? Measuring sticks and shadows? According to Eratosthenes, my table is a sphere because I can do the same thing with a local light source. He assumed that parallel sun rays from a sun that was way far away. Nobody's ever seen.
That's an observation.
Nobody's ever seen parallel sun rays.
It literally can be observed by shadows cast by the sun. They are parallel.
Okay, we got your claim, Brenda. First one, go ahead.
My claim.
You got 2 minutes.
I'm going to share my screen again.
Okay.
And we're going to take another page from Professor Dave, my buddy, my buddy. So Professor Dave, different observers facing opposite directions on the flat Earth see the Southern Cross. This is logically impossible for observers who are facing opposite directions to see the same stars on a flat Earth. This is a logical impossibility, and therefore the Earth cannot be flat, given the evidence of our senses, which is that when we look south, we see groups of stars that cannot be seen in the northern hemisphere. If the Earth was flat, everybody on Earth would see the same set of stars. And in fact, that's one of the arguments that Aristotle had, was the fact that when ships sailed to different regions, they saw different stars. He reasoned that the Earth must have some curvature to it because they couldn't see those stars from where they were. That's a rational inference that different observers seeing different stars implies that there is curvature, which is hiding some stars from other observers, right? If the Earth is flat, then no stars could be hidden from any observer on the flat Earth. And so we're at the claim part, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this is my claim. This falsifies flat Earth.
Okay, you got 1 minute to rebut.
Okay, first off, it's not nighttime in those three locations at the same time. So to even
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does. Those three people are not all seeing that at the same
Brenda,
time.
you get to close it out with a minute, so wait till the last minute. Go ahead.
So that's crazy. Anyway, as far as stars and not being able to see all of them from all points of the Earth at the same time and everything is ridiculous as well, because it's based on an assumption that these stars are trillions and trillions of miles away and all this, which none of it's ever been proven. It's based off of an assumptive astronomical unit. And yes, it is assumptive because they've had to keep changing it to make all their nonsense work. All right. That's why it's changed from 3 million to 93 million over the course of them measuring how far, not because of better technology. It's because they have to keep changing it. All right. You're assuming that these things are great, big, huge in the sky, fireballs, trillions and trillions of miles away.
Time.
All right. You can get the same thing when you're in a large warehouse. Okay. If you had, say, a warehouse. I'm sorry. Am I over?
Yep,
Am I done?
You're good. Brenda, you got a minute to close that out.
Yeah, it doesn't logically depend on the stars being far away. They could be embedded in a crystalline sphere surrounding the globe Earth, and they could be reasonably close. We would still have the same phenomenon of some of the stars not being visible from the southern hemisphere that you can see from the northern hemisphere. The fact is that they are the fact that they are obstructed simply shows that there must be something in the way, and that something in the way is the geometry of the Earth. That is why there are regions of Earth where you cannot see Polaris, and other regions where you cannot see the Southern Cross. Is because the Earth gets in the way, right? And so so far, all I've heard you say is it's ridiculous, and that's just an argument from incredulity. I'm done.
Okay, Dave, your next claim. You got 2 minutes when you're ready.
Okay, well, I still had another thing on that with that perspective. Another claim. Let me see what I didn't realize I had one more. I don't know. I mean, it's just like I'm still looking for the proof of the gravity. I'm still looking for the proof of the downward acceleration of air. People rolling barrels down a hill doesn't really tell me a whole lot. Let me see here. So how can you actually prove these distances to these stars, and that what we're seeing is actually trillions of miles away, burning balls of gas? Where do we get all that from?
Well, we get the distances to the stars from, number one would be parallax, right? We take measurements in the spring and then in the winter, or at 6 months apart. That establishes the baseline of 2 AU. Right, and then for stars that are close to us, there are a few of them that are close enough that we can observe stellar parallax with, and this will give us the distance to those stars.
But isn't that using a lot of assumptive values, like the AU?
No, that's observed.
It's observed this astronomical unit that's been mismeasured 10 times or more throughout history and been off by 90 million miles from the start to now. And who knows what it's going to be, because the moon's shrinking. That's going to cause a lot of orbital mechanics problems. So we're going to see some catastrophes. But so you're basing all this off of assumed values.
Yeah, there are measured values. They're not assumed.
They're assumed.
We can measure the distance to the sun. We can measure the distance to the moon.
Have you ever measured the distance to the sun or the moon?
I have not.
You have not. So you're taking the word of people.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Why would you do that? So it's a religion. So it's religion.
No, that's just how education works. So
no, that's not. That's how indoctrination works. Education.
No, that's not.
No. Education is indoctrination. Knowledge is learnedness. Okay.
So when I was in
I would never claim a distance to something that I do not know the distance to. I would never claim that.
So when I was in third grade, my third grade teacher taught us our multiplication tables.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody proved that 3 times 3 equals 9. Nobody proved that, because that requires advanced math that we don't.
It's evident though.
No, it's not. There's nothing self-evident about multiplication. So we learned those. We learned those about. We learned the multiplication tables as a matter of rote learning, right? Because they are true and they're already known by somebody else as being true.
Well,
right?
It's not because they're known by someone else to be true. It's because they're verifiable facts. You can actually take objects and say, look, I have 3 of these objects, and if I increase that number by 3 times, now I have 9 objects. I mean, that's verifiable. Okay. That's not taking any assumptions into it at all. That's not even a good analogy to it. But if somebody just comes right out and says, hey, the sun is 93 million miles. And by the way, we used to think it was 83 million, and we used to think it was 6 million, and then we thought it was 15 million. And then, well, we really don't fucking know because we went ahead and we assumed that Venus was the same size as Earth. And hey, that works out good because then we can also assume that everything is orbiting the sun, and we don't have any proof of that at all. I mean, you're just assuming. You're just crying at this. No, I'm just saying you're everything about the heliocentric model is based on assumptions that totally ignore scientific impossibilities.
Okay, let's
you
go
make
with
assumptions.
Your claim.
Can I just say one?
Sure.
You make assumptions. You make assumptions, and then you make repeated experiments that validate and confirm the hypothesis, the assumption.
Yeah, I know.
You get closer and closer to the facts. You never actually reach absolute truth, but you do get closer and closer. No future astronomer is going to discover that the sun is 10 million miles away.
Why not?
Because that's not how far away.
I'm sure that's what Tycho Brahe thought too.
Because it's a physical object, and the physical relation between it and the Earth is an objective fact that is not dependent on our opinions.
But hasn't that always been the case?
They got it wrong because they didn't have...
No shit. So how do you know they got it right this time? They were off
because we made
by 90 million miles, yes. Brenda.
We made successive experiments, refining
like
over and over and over again.
Like over and over and over.
Better telescopes, better instruments, more accurate instruments, more accurate.
You cannot measure things with a telescope, Brenda.
You literally can. You can measure angles with telescopes.
Okay, Brenda,
you can measure an angle. You can't measure sizes and distances.
You can measure angular size. Yes, you can.
Okay,
well, that's only an apparent size.
Angular size is the apparent size. Yes.
Okay.
And from that, you can determine how big something is.
You have to know a distance.
That's right. And you can,
so if you don't know the distance, you can't assume the size.
You can figure those things out. People have done that.
You haven't done that?
But that's a genetic fallacy.
No, what I'm saying is just saying people have done that is not, that's like people have gone to space. No, we don't know that.
That's a genetic fallacy. That's a genetic fallacy. You're saying that because of the source of the information, you're saying it's false because
okay, Brenda, what people have done this?
Astronomers down through the
names, astronomers. All you did was take a whole group of everybody and put it into
Copernicus, Brahe, Tycho, all
the same guys I just showed you that were wrong. The same guys I just showed you that were wrong. They made very good estimates. That's very
what
good estimates.
It's from 3 million to estimation. Science is about estimation.
You want to see that list again?
It doesn't.
Brenda, go with your next claim.
You're just incredulous.
Brenda, one more claim, please. You got 2 minutes.
Who's it on?
It's Brenda making a claim. We'll probably just do. So this will be Brenda's second, and we'll probably just do one more each.
I'm going to share the screen again.
Okay. You got 2 minutes when you're ready. Go.
Here's my claim. Flat earthers confuse how to take an elevation angle. An elevation angle is not. I apologize for I live in a metropolitan area. Sorry about. Did you hear the sirens?
We did not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I do hear it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It can't be helped. In astronomy and geography related sciences and context, the plane passing through a given point is vertical if it contains local gravity direction. Horizontal is taken to be perpendicular to the vertical of where you are. It is not parallel to the Earth's surface. It is a line of sight from the observer's perpendicular, right, to a line that goes above the horizon, and then the angle of elevation goes to the celestial object, like say the sun, which we would say, like say maybe it's 40 degrees elevation or something like that, right? And then you make a dip correction, right? So it's said to be horizontal if it is perpendicular to a vertical. In general, something that is vertical can be drawn up or down, such as a y-axis in a Cartesian coordinate system. Flat earthers, this is my claim, that flat earthers conflate a horizontal plane with the surface of the earth. Thus, this is a fallacy, right? In celestial navigation, requires a globe earth and is impossible on a flat earth.
Okay, you got a minute to rebut that?
Okay, so if it was impossible, if navigation using the stars was impossible on a flat earth, then how were they doing it long before they knew it was a globe? That is one of the biggest things that ever got me about that. Before somebody came and decided to take the curvature of the sky they're looking at and transpose it onto the earth. Vertical is vertical. Horizontal is horizontal. It always is. Horizontal is not curved. Horizontal is not
correct,
and vertical is not toward the center of a ball at all.
It's literally how it's
vertical
defined.
Is perpendicular to horizontal. Horizontal is level. Level does not incorporate a curve in any way, shape, or form.
That's
the
false.
definition of level is no point having any inequality to any other point. In other words, there's no point higher or lower than any other point. That is level. This is not on a curve. This is
on
not
the surface
on
of level means conforming to the curvature of the earth.
No, it does not mean that at all.
Literally is.
Curvature. My friend, I have a Webster's dictionary here from 1975.
There are at least 7 definitions in that dictionary, aren't there?
The entire, all the definitions. Never once is there anything talking about curvature.
It's literally in the dictionary. It's literally.
No, it's literally not.
It literally is.
Okay, you got 1 minute to finish this off, Brenda, and then Dave, you get your last claim after this.
Right. So the argument here is that flat earthers are misusing celestial navigation and claiming that they are measuring the earth flat. This is demonstrably false because horizontal is from the observer's height through the eyepiece of the sextant and to 90 degrees from vertical. And then if you don't have a reflecting pool, if you don't have a bubble sextant, then you can use the horizon, but then you have to make a correction for the dip to horizon, the dip from horizontal to the horizon.
Observer height.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not curvature. That's just the parallax of your eyes being higher than the ground. That's not curvature of the earth. That's just observer height.
Correct. That's how
you incorporate that into a curvature calculator, and that's how we demonstrate that we see objects way too far beyond a curve where they should be hidden.
No flat earther has ever shown that we see objects further than we should.
Yeah, in fact, Jaron right here has shown it several times.
No, Jaron actually
has shown it several times. Joshua Nowicki showed it. Rob Skiba videoed it going across the lake. I mean, come on. That's a straw man claim. That's a straw man say no one has ever proven that. We've shown that a million times, bro.
No, you never have, because those laser experiments were due to.
I'm not talking about a laser experiment. I'm talking about being on the other side of Lake Michigan, bringing Chicago into view in your camera.
That's due to refraction.
And leaving it completely in view as you go across the lake to Chicago. They did this. And there was no where it just disappeared and then came back or anything else like that. None of that happened.
It gets loomed up. It gets loomed up due to refraction because when the light curves down, you see the object loomed upwards.
So why was there why was none of that occurring as Rob Skiba got closer and closer and closer to Chicago? We didn't see the image change or go away at all. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger until we got to it.
And why would it go away? It wouldn't go away.
Dude, it would be, because it's all part of the angle of view that you're looking at something is why the refraction happens. You don't see a mirage forever. It's the same reason you can't walk to a rainbow.
Refraction happens because of a change in the direction due to the density of the air.
And the angle of view.
Layers.
And the angle of view. If you've got more of the horizon, look, a 3-foot wave can obstruct a 25-foot boat.
No, it can't if you're above.
Yes, you can.
It literally geometrically you can prove
Yeah,
that.
geometrically
Not if
you can.
if you are taller than the wave, then the wave can't obstruct anything taller than you.
Okay, Dave, your final claim here. You got 2 minutes when you're ready.
Hold on. Okay,
No
I
problem.
was just looking for something on here that I don't know where I put it. I had just on that last point of hers, the math showing that absolutely a 3-foot wave can obstruct a 25
If you're
foot.
if you're an ant on the beach, then a 1-foot wave will obscure distant objects on the horizon. But if that ant is 6 feet above the ground, then those 1-foot waves will not obstruct anything.
Hang on. Right here. You see?
Share this here. Share. Okay, you're on screen now.
So what you got there is a 6-foot observer with 1 arc minute of resolution. Okay. And this is showing how big a wave would have to be. A quarter.
Where's that eyeball?
Wave.
What is the height of that eyeball?
It just says 6-foot observer.
What is the height of that eyeball?
6 foot.
Well, then why would it be?
Can you read
below,
that? Can you read it? It says.
And why would it be
6 foot.
below a 3-foot wave?
Because of the distance. When you bring
that's
things,
not how.
listen.
This isn't how anything works.
Yes. Because as
You're
an object
showing
goes away from you, the angular size of an object going away from you gets smaller. It doesn't actually get smaller in real life. Okay, it's getting smaller due to perspective. Now, because you are closer to this part of the visual plane than you are this part up here. Okay. You're going to get more effect from this than you are from up here,
That's
right?
not how anything works. So your image shows.
You got a minute.
Your image shows an eyeball halfway into the water and a 3-foot.
Oh my God! It's not drawn to scale. It's there to show you the math. Did you look at the math? Did you look at the math?
It shows.
You guys love the math. Look at the math.
It shows a 3-foot wave being at the same level as the eye.
Oh my God! It's a demonstration of
show the image again. It shows the 3-foot wave at the same height as the eye.
What did I just get done saying about the scale? This is just a demonstration of the wave, the boat, and the eye. Look at the mathematics.
Show the image. It shows a 3-foot wave at the same eye level as the eye. Show the image again.
It's up there.
Well, it's not being shared.
No, I don't think you're sharing.
It's not being shared.
There it is.
There it is.
Right. That line going from the 3-foot wave to the middle of the eyeball.
Right.
That would not happen if this was attached to a person 6 foot tall. This would not. This is a wrong diagram. You've drawn it wrong.
The diagram is not the information. You understand? This is just the components.
The math is based on a false assumption.
Wait a second. The math is using a 6-foot observer with 1 arc minute of resolution. Okay. You see the 250 foot over 20 foot, blah, 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 right? So in a quarter of a mile, a wave would only have to be 3 foot tall in order to obstruct that 20-mile away distance.
In order to obstruct a 6-foot observer, a wave would have to be at least 6 foot tall.
We're not obstructing the 6-foot observer. We're obstructing the distant object.
It says given a 6-foot observer. It's literally your first sentence. 6-foot observer.
Yeah, I believe as far as
anything, it has to be a 6-foot tall wave.
No, because the wave
3 feet. It's at his knees.
The wave is a quarter mile out, 3-foot wave.
Can you see a wave that only comes up to your waist? Yes, dude. You can see over it.
Okay, Brenda, your last claim. And then we'll be doing the closings in 1 second. Go ahead, Brenda. You got 2 minutes on this one.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen again.
Okay, we got you.
This is from Rufy's little presentation. I do not require a flat Earth to hang a plumb bob. I do not require a flat Earth to establish a horizontal plane at right angles to my to my plumb bob. And I do not require a flat earth to measure an elevation angle. This would be my final claim. It is not a requirement of having a flat earth to measure an elevation angle, because the horizontal is established from plumb, from the observer. It is not assumed that the ground is a horizontal plane. That is simply misrepresenting. It is simply lying about how celestial navigation is done. It is a bald face lie that measurements, that elevation angles require a flat earth. That is a bald face lie.
Is that directed at Sovereign Soul?
Is directed at the flat earth community.
Okay. You have 50 seconds.
Oh, it's on me?
Oh, that's it? I guess she's done. You got a minute to rebut. Go ahead.
Okay. Level is level, plumb is plumb. They've only recently added anything to do with the curvature of Earth to the online definitions of the word level. In my Webster's Unabridged Dictionary from 1975, the entire center column of the page is devoted to the word level, and in nowhere in that entire column is curvature mentioned. Okay, in order to get an elevation angle, it is not a lie that you do need a flat plane line, and this is required because we use what's called triangulation. There are no arcs in a triangle, otherwise it wouldn't be a triangle, it would be something else. Okay, it's a biangle with an arc, and it doesn't work. So this is just completely 100% false. I've spent a lot of time building houses and working in construction, and plumb is plumb and level is level, and you'll get your ass thrown off the job if you think anything different. Okay. I would say that that's just no good, man. No bueno.
Okay, Brenda, you got a minute to close that one out.
Let me see. What did he say? A number of things. Saying plumb is plumb. This is a tautology. It's basically a nonsense. It is an uninformative proposition, right? And saying that level is somehow new. It is not. There are 19th century works on surveying that define level as conforming to the curved portions of the Earth from the 19th century.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, mctoon./level. I know you don't like him, but actually MC Toon is one of the most polite, most cordial globe earthers that are around.
Really? I've had the experience I've experienced his cordialness before. He's a prick.
Okay.
Well, I didn't see, I don't recall. I might have seen if you appeared with him. I don't recall him being abusive to you.
Okay, we're going to be doing the closings. We've got Dave, I believe, going first, right? So, Dave, you got 2 minutes to close it out. And then we're going to take, if anybody has super chats or questions or Rockman, I'll check those in a second. Go ahead. You have 2 minutes when you're ready.
Right. So the Earth, as I stated before, is a level topographical stationary plane contained within a dynamic fluid pressure system. Along comes some philosophers and starts postulating some ideas based on alchemic principles of planets in the sky, and of course the sun worship of giant sun, basically a Luciferian inversion of all reality. There has been no sufficient evidence to prove that this phenomenon called gravity actually exists, nor enough proof of it to actually ascribe it to other objects that we see in the night skies. This is all based on assumptions, hopes, and beliefs that are rooted in philosophy and pseudoscience with absolutely no experimental nor demonstrative proof of the postulations. And therefore, I contend that a globe Earth remains a scientific impossibility due to the fact that no gas pressure system can exist without containment. It is the nature of nature. Equalization is the schedule of nature, and therefore objects within disequilibrium will react accordingly. They will either stabilize or they will head towards stabilization. And this is the reason we see things rise or fall on the Earth. It's nothing more than the reaction to the object within the medium. The weight of an object, or the gravitas, is defined. We quantify what is basically a ratio between the density of the object and the medium in which it resides. Density, of course, is volume. Density is actually equal to the mass times the volume of the object. So within certain ratios, when we change these ratios, we see the opposite effect. Whereas in the air, something is falls to the ground, we can cause it to easily float or achieve neutral buoyancy within the right medium. I think that's pretty much all I've got with that.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much all I've got. That's all I need.
Thank you much. We got Brenda up next. Brenda, 2 minutes.
Flat Earth is a religious dogma. It is a quasi cult. No flat earther has ever falsified any claims by the globe Earth, nor have they ever presented any evidence for the Earth being flat, other than it looks flat to me and we see too far. And all of these have been shown to be based on misunderstandings of perception and perspective. The flat Earth cannot work with celestial navigation. Elevation angles are only possible are possible on a globe. They are taken from the 90-degree horizontal plane at the sextant, at the observer's location. It is not the ground. We have measured the distances to the sun, the sizes and distances and orbitals of the various planets, the distances to stars and galaxies very far away. Flat Earth would, if it was accepted, would plunge the world into a dark age of ignorance and superstition, because nothing would ever work. No plane schedules would not work. GPS would not work. Maps would not work. Flat Earthers have no map, no model. They have no math. They have nothing other than a religious dogma that they stick to, and it's increasingly becoming irrelevant. People are interested in it to a certain extent, the way they are interested in a car crash. It is simply a spectacle. It is a spectacle and entertainment rather than anything positive. I don't know what else to say from there. It's simply an observable, demonstrable fact that the Earth is a globe. It has been for thousands of years.
Thank you very much. We've got super chats to go through, so let me get through some of these. Thank you very much to Lord Racer, who's been a member for 8 months, says they can't and they won't stop us all. We've got next James Richard, $5, says, Brenda, can you isolate, control, and vary, manipulate gravity? If so, please demonstrate. Give you a minute to answer that. Or do you have?
In the Cavendish experiment, the independent and dependent variables are isolated and controlled for by the independent variable and the dependent variable. It depends on the gravitational force will depend on the distance between the weights, right? And you can control for confounding factors by using materials that are not magnetic or electromagnetic. You can also control for heat and temperature variations. You can control for all of those things, and people do. The Cavendish is conducted by thousands of engineering students at university every year in their university courses.
Okay. Let's go with the next one. What did you say about... Oh, sorry. We'll skip that part. We've got SWIM Swim says Slave Dave is afraid to debate Nick Volt. What the hell that is?
No, I'm not. It has to be in a structured context like this, because Nick Volt cannot adhere to conversational decorum. He continuously interrupts. and he acts like a child. And if he wants to come on to a situation like this, that'd be absolutely great, where there's a moderator and that kind of shenanigans isn't allowed. I'd be more than happy to.
I'm going to concur with Sovereign, which is that this is Jaron does a decent job of moderating, and this is a good forum that has a tendency to, even though Sovereign and I got a little bit excited, it was not nearly as bad as sometimes these things get. So it is a decent forum for debating these issues, and I would encourage people to do that.
Yeah, when people start letting their feelings get into the shit, now you're not acting from a place of logic.
No, well, people can't help it. I mean, but I agree that people should try to minimize that, but it's difficult.
Justin Johnson, thank you very much for the 5 gifted memberships. James Richard again is back, $5. He says, how do you know you see 55% of the moon if you have never seen 100% of it? I don't know who that's to. That's
because we know we can measure its size. We have seen 100% of it. We've sent satellites and observatories around that orbit it. There's lunar observatories have been in orbit around the moon. So we've mapped almost every inch of the moon. So we do know its size.
Okay.
Big space mockery.
Ruhif, $10 says, Sovereign, in your wave diagram, it is a straight line between the eyeball, the base of the wave, and the base of the boat. Your diagram implies that the eyeball is at sea level, not 6 feet. It's wrong.
The diagram is not to scale. The diagram is just merely showing the components involved in an easy to understand demonstration of the mathematics that were provided above it.
The math is based on the diagram, and the diagram is wrong.
No, the math is not based off of the diagram.
It literally is.
No, it is not.
Okay, well, look at that one.
Because there's no such thing, Brenda, as a fucking eyeball that just floats around someplace, right?
Well, you can lower yourself into the water. And
the mathematics show that a 3-foot wave can block a.
If your eyeball's suspended in the water, yeah.
So let's talk about this real quick, because why in my head am I thinking that the eyeball has to be at 3 feet? If you're talking about you're at 3 feet high, this is my assumption, and then the boat's going away, that at a certain distance the boat would now be occulted by the 3-foot wave, right?
Yeah. If you're only 3 feet above the water, then a 3-foot wave could obstruct your view. Of course.
Yeah, so I think that's what I thought was being shown, but I might be confused.
There it is, right there.
Yeah, okay. So I think the problem is
there's no giant eyeball. There's no giant eyeball anywhere, okay? And this is only just a little picture of a ship. Notice it's not a real ship, and this is not real water either.
It's not a real...
Okay? And you notice also that this isn't really 3 foot tall.
No,
and this isn't really 250 foot tall.
We understand
and this isn't really 20 fucking miles. It's just an illustration is all it is.
Yeah, I think what they're saying is that if you're at 6 feet tall, like this one says, given a 6-foot observer, then no 3-foot wave could ever be taller than the 6-foot observer. That's what I think they're saying. So I don't know why it says given a 6-foot observer, because it doesn't seem like that 6 foot is in the math.
Well, the 6 foot is if the 3-foot wave is a quarter of a mile away from you, it can obstruct a 250-foot object that's 20 miles away. What it is it's talking about like foreshortening, okay? And it works the same as like if I do this, all right? We know right now that my thumb is much, much smaller than my face, isn't it? Okay? I can't cover my face with my thumb. But if I go like this, oh my goodness gracious, look at there. What happened? A little tiny thumb obstructed my entire face.
So how would you...
But a 3-foot wave isn't at eye level.
Oh my God. I know. That's why it has to be a quarter of a mile away from you.
It doesn't go higher just because it's further away.
God, no, but the other object, the distant object, gets smaller in apparent size.
Yeah, but it doesn't get higher. It doesn't get higher in your field of view.
It doesn't have to. The apparent size of the distant object has got smaller.
We seem to be at an impasse.
We're at an impasse. Yeah, Dave, you killed it. All the globe has is hypocrisy, delusion. It's obvious Brenda can't defend a position, only attacks and ad homs in typical globe fashion. All right, that is I don't know if that's a question or a comment. So I guess it's more of a comment. Let me check Rockpin real quick, and if we've got any there. But I enjoyed having you guys on. Hopefully you come back. And yeah, who's the guy? Nick Volt. If Nick Volt wants to come on by, we can keep him under control. All right, we've got a couple people here. Tips. Tony Corellis now says, ask a question for Brenda. According to the 2023 Farmer's Almanac, the Go Fast rocket went 73 miles up. Why do you think it went further than 73 miles?
I don't think it went further than 73 miles. It went further. It continued to ascend after the stop yo-yos were deployed. It continued to increase in altitude.
Stop yo-yos. All right. And we got Shiloh Carpenter says, Brenda, off topic, but do you believe a rooster can become a hen?
Fuck you.
All right.
Good answer.
All right. All right. We'll give you guys final words here and tell everybody where they can find you. And let's get it on. All right. So you've got Dave. Go ahead and go first. Tell us where we can find you.
All right. Well, you can find me over on Rumble at SSUM369. I think that's what I'm called there. Let me just make sure.
And the links are in the description as well.
Yeah, SSUM369, and then of course Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind over on YouTube. We going to have an after show tonight at 9:35. That's usually when I do my live streams. It's open for people that want to come up. We'll be talking about this debate and maybe going on some deeper points of some of the things that really didn't get into here, but hey, join us over there. And I'd just like to close by saying, once somebody ever comes up with some actual scientific proof of a globe Earth, then maybe I'll start to consider it. But I've already been there, seen that, done it, got the t-shirt, and I had to humble myself and realize that was a bunch of hooey. So that's all I got.
Okay, excellent. It's really happy to have you. And yeah, definitely check out his channel. He's doing good work. He's there live a lot. And it's a good crowd showing up there in the chat. Brenda, go ahead. Your final words, where they can find you.
Hi, I have a I have a YouTube channel called Brenda Debates, which I have not published any videos in quite some time. Perhaps I should do that, but there are so many excellent debaters out there. I sort of figure that I don't have anything different. Nothing I've said tonight is anything anybody else couldn't say. And it's relatively trivial to prove that the Earth is a globe and to refute the claims made by flat earthers. But maybe I'll start publishing more videos, I guess. Maybe that would be something I should do. And that's, you can find me there. You can find me here sometimes, apparently. If sometimes people indicate that they don't appreciate my appearance here on Jerrans. Well, if that's the case, then get your butt in here. Yeah, find a globe earther or find somebody to have a debate with and volunteer, because the reason we're here tonight is because I happened to be around and I volunteered to debate Sovereign Soul, right? So step up and be on Jerran's show. Other than that, I thank you. Jerran is a good moderator and fair, and so I would actually prefer this place over modern day debates, which seems maybe, yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for having me, and keep it round.
Wow. Thank you. No, I think it's a good place for people to come and listen to both sides and then make their own decisions. I mean, that's always going to be the case. I don't think in any debate you're going to change the other person's mind, at least not right then and there during that debate. But it's a good place for us all to hear both sides and then kind of come up with our opinion of which one closer matches reality. All right. So see you guys soon. Friday, I'll be back with the second part of the moon hoax video, or the little series, or whatever you want to call it. So
that's really entertaining.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a laugh a minute. It's just hilarious how badly you get things.
Oh, so you believe all that stuff? The them driving around in the golf cart. That nothing in the distance gets any closer to them, and there's rocks flying all over the place, and they're driving over gigantic boulders and not changing their voice inflections. That's all just.
I mean, gravity is 1/6 on Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't. How do we know that? How do we know that? We don't know what gravity is. man.
We don't have to know what it is to know how much
we do. Sure we do.
No, we don't. We don't have to know how much.
If you're gonna make an assumption about where you're at and then place that assumption on other things, you can't just say, "Oh, we assume."
Here we go again. Here we go again.
I think the best part of this debate was when Sovereign said, "You can't just make up a bunch of things and do all that." And then your answer was, "Yes, we can."
Yeah, that's literally it's literally what a hypothesis.
I had to break character on that one.
Yes, it's literally what a hypothesis is. You make something up based on your observations, and then you test it.
It's a funny one.
Right. Right.
All right,
but,
guys.
Your test has to actually prove something. Like with gravity, you have to actually have
can't prove
gravity itself. You have to, with buoyancy and density, I can manipulate the independent variable. I can manipulate that. All I have to do is change the medium, and now I've changed what you call gravity. All I have to do is change the medium, and now your 9.81 meters per second squared that we both agree happens here in the air, I've completely fucked that up, right? To the point is that I could change the medium to mercury. And it's going to really blow stuff up. It's really going to blow the whole lid off of everything because it's just a ratio between the object and the medium in which it resides. That's it.
All right. And Brenda, I don't know if did you say that multiplication was not self-evident? Would you change that now?
I don't think it is. I think it's something that it took people a while to figure out. Well, I don't think it's self-evident.
It's just real fast addition.
Yeah, but I don't think that I don't think that Caveman Bob necessarily knew what multiplication was.
I don't think there ever was a Caveman Bob, but
I'm just saying hypothetically.
How to quantify things. Hold on.
Wait, you don't think
Caveman Bob knew how to quantify things. He knew that there was 2 rocks over here. And if he grabbed this other one, now he had 3 rocks, and that was an objective reality, right? So he's already on the way to quantifying. Now, if he grabs 3 more, he realizes, hey, that was the same as this, and I doubled the amount.
I don't think that's.
You don't think they saw like there's 16 of us in this group and we need 2 apples apiece? They couldn't figure that out.
Yeah. I don't think that was something that was immediately obvious to people. I think it took some time and a certain amount of. They had to have like a language, symbols for like 1, 2, and 3 and stuff like that. I don't know if multiplication. I don't know when multiplication was discovered. I think it was discovered, but I don't know when that was. But I don't think it's obvious.
A toddler figures that out.
I think it's
this. A toddler will figure out.
Taught.
He knows. No, he doesn't. A kid automatically knows that 2 cookies is more than 1 cookie. He's going to go for the 2 cookies.
Talking about multiplication, not.
Well, I mean, right there, I was able to tell that if I could double the amount of cookies. One time I did this to my dad just to be a shit, and I said, Dad, can I have a cookie? I was little. I remember this. He says, I said, can I have a cookie, Dad? And he says, yeah. And I says, well, I want 2 cookies. And he says, well, you can only have 1 cookie. And he gave me a cookie and I broke the fucking thing in half. And I goes, haha, I got 2 cookies. That right there. I mean, I knew the difference. And I knew that if I could quantify things down into the thing, but then he's like, oh no, you only have 2 half cookies, and then so I'd pull that shit with him, that kind of thing. I knew that if my brother got 4 pieces
I just was wondering what's changing.
Okay. I don't see the point in arguing this.
I'm just saying it's objective. Mathematics is not, it's not speculative. It's not assumptive. It is objective. It either is or isn't. See, I could say, oh, I know my bank account's overdrawn, but I have a balance of $2 million. Now, even though this doesn't add up to $2 million, that can only mean that I have dark money. Now we're getting into your kind of mathematics. Now I got dark money. And the reason we know I got dark money is because you can't prove that I don't. That's speculative mathematics.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay.
I'm taking speculative mathematics, assumptive mathematics in conjunction to actual physical mathematics that you said was objective.
Okay. And Mary Schwitzer, are you taking that one back yet, or are we gonna have to wait for you to take that back?
I'll publish a video on my channel. I'll make a video on it.
Oh, you stand behind Mary Schwitzer says it's not soft tissue?
Mary Switzer thought she had soft tissue, but I think it's controversy, and I don't think that she did find soft tissue.
Okay, that's a better claim than she does.
She thought she did. She thought she did. Yes,
correct. So you think it's something else in the bones that is exactly like tissue and blood.
Fragments and pieces of proteins.
All right, guys, we'll see you soon. Definitely check out the channel, check out both of our guests, and we will talk to you again soon. Do your own research. When you do, you'll never again believe the bullshit you've been taught.